Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here. This is Smart Business Moves, and I'm with Derek Christian. Hey, Derek.
Howdy.
We had big plans for today. That Liz was going to be with us, and the three of us kind of had a program to kind of go through. But Liz is traveling, and at the moment is not available. So you got Derek and myself, and we're going to talk about some fun stuff today. COVID, things that are happening there. Hey, Leslie, how are you? Kind of give an update as to some stuff that we're doing individually and together. And there's some free money out there we've been talking about that we're going to give you some hints as to how you might be able to get some grant funds. How you been, Derek?
Overall, pretty good. Been a crazy couple of weeks for obvious reasons. Last week was kind of slow for us because I think everyone's brain was wrapped up in the elections, but we're picking back up now, so I'm pretty excited.
It's kind of a relief that the elections, I guess, for the most part, or at least some degree, are behind us. Not completely, but starting to feel things might be getting to normal someday.
Yep.
We were talking about numbers a little while ago. COVID seems to be on top of a lot of people's mind and seems to be spreading in various parts of the country. I guess pretty much in all parts of the country. The numbers are moving in an upward trend, some more than others. How are you guys doing in Ohio?
Yeah, we're definitely taking off. Back when we had the original shutdown, we were having 500 cases a day, and 1,000 cases a day was a really crazy spike. But for the last couple of days, we've kind of gone through this trend of up 1,000, down 500, up 1,000. So we broke another record today, not in a good way. We had over 7,000 cases today. 2 days ago was over 6,000 cases. 2 days before that was over 5,000 cases. So we're accelerating pretty quickly. And our governor actually had a primetime news conference yesterday and announced a addition to the mask mandate that in Ohio, it is now the employer's responsibility to ensure that all employees and customers are wearing masks. And we've had some governors that have come out sheriffs who've come out and pretty publicly said, I'm not going to enforce a mask mandate. So they also created a new division of the Bureau of Workers' Compensation, whose job it will be to do inspections to make sure both employees and customers are wearing masks. First offense is a written warning. Second offense is an order to close for 24 hours. Third offense, 48 hours, keeps doubling.
So on and so forth. And
Yep.
workers' comp division. I mean,
Well, I think the governor was when a lot of the local law enforcement was refusing to enforce the mask mandate, he had to find a way to try to enforce it. And the idea is the masks are there to keep your employees safe. And so the Bureau of Workers' Compensation, if you are not keeping your employees safe, will enforce a closure of your business for the safety of your employees. Now, this is very much retail focused. All of the press about it has talked about retail. So I don't know what it means for a service business like us. I put some links out there. You can post one of them if people want to see what's going on with it. So we're kind of waiting to see what it means for service businesses like ours. But Ohio was one of the first to close, and they're the first one to have put a punishment into a mask mandate. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. He also made it pretty clear that if cases don't start dropping next week, he's going to close restaurants and gyms.
So, I mean, one scenario I could imagine happening is if you have an employee who's not particularly happy and they made a phone call to workers' comp. I mean, they're not going to be coming into people's homes to make sure that the customer, the resident in the home's wearing a mask. But if your employee is disgruntled, that could create an issue, right?
Yeah, like I said, we're not quite sure what it means for our business. We don't think they're going to do pop-ins, like you said. We think they're going to be going to Kroger and Walmart and those type of places. But on the flip side, if an employee is not wearing a mask and you have a customer who cares enough, it could also be a customer issue. What happens if a customer calls and says, hey, there's an employee here in my house who's not wearing a mask, and could you then get reported and have to do something about it?
So as a business owner, a cleaning business owner in Ohio, it certainly would be prudent to direct your cleaning professionals to be wearing a mask when a client's home, maybe all times. But is that kind of SOP for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely tell people to wear the mask. Where it's gotten really tricky for us is masks have become so political that we've had some customers who've told our cleaners, take the mask off or get out of my house. Well, so now I've got customers telling us what to do on one side and the government telling us what to do on the other, which isn't new. I mean, we've dealt with customers for years telling us to take shoes off in their house and having to politely explain to the customer that, OSHA requires us to wear it. What I feel bad for is the retailers. It's going to be really hard to enforce. Like you said, what happens if you tried to tell someone to wear a mask and they get really belligerent? There's been some cases in the news of people being beat up and even shot at for making people wear masks. So, but in Ohio, it's now legally your responsibility.
And think about, if you're like a retail business owner, do you put your employees in that role? I mean, they're not going to want to put themselves in harm's way. Cleaning business owner, I mean, the retail business owner isn't either. That sounds like a mess.
Yeah, it is. And we're trying to figure out what all it's going to mean. But on the flip side, on the good news of COVID, I saw you posted some links out there. And November 1st in Ohio, some small business relief grants became available, which are a $10,000 grant available if you have fewer than 25 employees. And it looks like it's part of the CARES Act. It didn't get a lot of press that the states were given money to use for local businesses as they choose. We also applied for a $10,000 grant with a slightly different name in St. Louis. And Tom and I were just Googling, and it looks like South Carolina's got a program. And they're all a little bit different. They've got some rules. Like the one in St. Louis was very upfront that said, this money is going to go to people who did not get a PPP loan first. Ohio doesn't seem to care. Ohio basically said it's available.
So what I'm doing is just Googling small business relief grant and plug your favorite state in there. Did it for South Carolina, and it looks like it's here for employers of less than 25 employees. It looks like you could be eligible for $10,000.
Yep.
You guys have gone through this process in Ohio. How much work is it to fill the application out?
I mean, it was super easy in Ohio. They didn't ask a lot of questions, or St. Louis wasn't bad either. What they both requested and required was proof that we paid our income taxes. So we had to do an income tax return for the corporation from 2019. And in Ohio, they wanted proof that we paid our sales tax if it was relevant. And we do pay sales tax on cleaning services in Ohio. So kind of nice that for those of us that have been paying taxes and are above board, it's a way to prove that we're legit and actually get some help from the government.
Yeah. I guess COVID's been a vindication on several levels, paying taxes, having employees. There's been some good outcomes, I guess, for in a relative sense for businesses that have been doing it what we would consider the right way. I dropped basically the keywords in chat. Just to Google small business relief grant and plug in the name of the state that you're interested in. And we haven't done all 50 states, but we've done several, and it looks like everyone that we've tried, they have that program. So I would jump on that right now and try to get an extra $10,000 of free money.
Yeah, and it's a grant. It's not a loan or anything, and it's 25 or fewer employees. So some of the bigger companies might have some problems, but for the smaller companies, it's no reason why not to.
And I guess we're still holding out some hope that there's going to be more economic relief coming out of Congress right now. There's some speculation that something may happen before the end of this lame duck session, but there doesn't seem to be anything solid to hang your hat on at this point.
Yep. Yeah, and it's just interesting because there was a lot of speculation that once the election was over, a lot of COVID talk would go away. Here in Ohio, that is definitely not the case. And starting to get a little bit of a feel that it might not be a great winter. So trying to just get ready for it.
Yeah. I saw some projections the other day that right now on a national level, there's about 120,000 positive cases a day, which, a month ago, it was about 70, I guess, on the average. And even, back in the summer or back when it was in, New York was hitting it bad, the numbers were never approaching 100. It was up around 70 some, and then it dipped back down and got up. But we're solidly at 120. And by Thanksgiving, we think it'll be up in the higher hundreds. And by Christmas, they're projecting it'll be, plus $200,000 a day. I mean, 200,000 cases a day, rather, of confirmed cases of COVID, and then it's supposed to tail off.
Go ahead.
Then it's going to tail off. Then it'll start getting better in January.
Yeah, Google actually does a pretty good job of charting this stuff. If you type in whatever state and new COVID-19 cases, it pulls up some pretty interesting charts and graphs. And actually, you guys in South Carolina seem to be doing a pretty decent job. But both Ohio and Colorado, our charts are not very good looking. They're going the wrong direction and fast.
Johns Hopkins has some pretty good data, and these are the number of new cases a day and positive cases as a percentage of all of the tests done. And anything over 5% is considered to be bad. So let's see where Ohio is. Minnesota is struggling a bit. They're approaching 5,000. So you guys are, yesterday you guys had almost 6,000 positive cases.
Yeah, they did 7,000 today.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yep.
That's good. And where was it? I saw some state, I think it was New York, which, they were encouraging people not to have Thanksgiving this year. And I think that we're going to be hearing more of that.
New York had a pretty low positivity rate. I saw a chart that said New York's still at 2%, Ohio's at 10%, Wyoming was at 40%. I was like, yikes, that's high.
Hey.
It's fun to live stream from home.
I think Molly just saw her reflection in the window. When you're 7 months old, at least I rationalize it. When you're 7 months old, your brain hasn't quite figured out everything that it needs to. I also saw that the airlines are kind of excited because there's a lot of people booking flights for Thanksgiving and for Christmas, more so for Christmas even. But they're more, those two holidays, there's going to be a lot more traveling than what there was, anytime since COVID. And most of the people are flying to Florida. So for you guys who are living in Florida, get ready. You're going to be getting a lot of company from all over the rest of the country. And hopefully not many of them will be sick. But the concern is that will increase to the spread as well.
Yep.
What you been doing from a business standpoint, Derek? How's business?
Overall, they're doing good. As you know, there's a couple different of them, but that's kind of fun because it lets me kind of see the trends on everything. And like I said, that's why last week, Monday is normally our busiest day of the week. And when I started, last Monday was terrible. But when I started looking at the numbers from all the different companies, it was a pretty slow day from everybody. I think everyone on Monday and Tuesday night was a little tied up with either thinking about the elections. Overall, they're all up. They're up in different ways. It's one of the things I was commenting online. You got to be careful comparing to other people because there are some cities like the southern cities where they seem to be really taking off and there's not a lot of concern on COVID and people are having even better months than they ever had. But then businesses that I'm involved with or coaching in places like the West Coast or Maine are not recovering as quickly. They're still down. So you got to be a little careful when you talk to people in groups because it feels like different states are kind of having a different reaction and different growth rates on what's happening with this whole thing.
And depending upon what part of the country you're talking about, to some degree, across the board, but in some pockets worse than others, it's a supply issue. It's just not being able to find enough labor.
Labor is brutal on every business I've been involved in. It's been horrible. We can't hire to save our lives. We're spending tremendous amounts. No shows to interviews and first day of work are higher than I've ever seen them before. And this isn't just home cleaning because, the normal response from people, you just need to pay more. On my handyman business, we start people at $25 an hour and I'm still having a hard time. So
So what is that? I mean, the unemployment rate's still high. You're talking, and there's certain industries that have basically been shut down. Why is it we can't find people to work?
I think obviously they can still get unemployment in the extra 300 a week on the states that are doing it, which is pretty generous. I do think there's a lot of legitimate fear where people don't want to apply for jobs because they are legitimately afraid of it. And as a result, I think there's a lot of people that have just opted out of looking for a job right now. So if anything, the labor pool's actually gotten tighter. But as an employer, it kills me when I watch the news and people are like, "We need more aid. There's no jobs." I'm like, "There's jobs. I'm dying to hire people." So
No light at the no immediate light at the end of the tunnel for that one, is it?
no, the vaccine sounds exciting though, so I'm pretty excited about that. It's going to take a while, obviously, because this particular vaccine's a bit tricky, huh? I hear it has to be kept at like -80 or something exciting like that.
Yeah, the packaging and distribution is going to be a challenge. And I'm starting to hear some stories about the side effects when you take the drug. And this was more the Moderna drug, and they're going to be coming out with some numbers on that within the next couple of days. But it's the same technology as the Pfizer drug, and the efficacy with the Pfizer drug was incredible, like over 90%. Where the flu is like 50 on a good year. So they're really excited about how effective it is, which is awesome news. But I saw an interview with some of the people that took the Moderna drug, which is believed basically to be the same thing. And they said it was like having a 2-day hangover. Like they couldn't go to work for a couple of days. They were in bed. I mean, it's not like getting a flu shot. You feel really bad for a couple of days after taking it.
Flu shot hit my kids pretty hard this year. They both were pretty sick for a couple days, but
Wow. Okay. Well, there's people
that's
that are.
not common.
But the good news is with with the flu, if not many people take it, then it's bad news because there's a 50-50 chance you can get it anyway. So there's a lot of people,
Yep.
even if you do get the shot, but at a 90% efficacy, you're pretty much protected regardless of who else doesn't want to take the shot.
Yeah, and I've been reading some stuff that, even at low vaccination rates, it's not going to stop it, but it's going to help because they can hit some of the people like who work in retail and food service and stuff like that that have a potential to really spread it around. And if you can knock out some of those super spreaders, it can really slow things down. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but they do think they're going to start using some of them by the end of this year. So, but just to give some idea of numbers, our governor today said they expect 30,000 doses to be distributed by the end of the year in Ohio. We have 11.8 million people. So that's a very small percentage of the population.
Yeah. From what I understand, they're going to be still distributing the product this time next year, trying to get it to everybody. But the other part they don't know is like if the Moderna drug, works out, okay, and there's other, companies out there doing their variations, it could ramp up more quickly.
Yep. But yeah, we're on the fun and exciting topic of COVID. But like I said, that's not the only thing. Business overall, all of them are going pretty well. The handyman business is nuts, as you know, but this is a cleaning conference. But it's definitely interesting. People are spending money to fix up their homes, and there's huge material shortages because of that. So bad time to try to remodel anything, folks. And then on the cleaning side, though, we're not seeing as much reoccurring, but we are booking tremendous amounts of one-time work on almost every business I'm involved in. And we are getting some reoccurring. I'm not going to tell you we're not getting any, but normally our ratio is more like 90-10, with 10% being one-time, and we're seeing our revenue be up to 30% one-time right now.
How do you explain that? Why do you think there's not as much recurring?
I think people are really hesitant to commit to something ongoing. They don't know what's going to go on with COVID. They don't know if their kid's school is going to be canceled, but the house gets dirty enough and they need some help and they call in. So it's almost switching them to more of an in-demand model, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. That does.
So
what do you think about raising rates in a market like this?
I mean, mixed emotions on it. You're always a little nervous about it, but you also have the world's greatest excuse to do just about anything. So I know a lot of companies that have used this as a opportunity to transition from teams to solos because it gives them the perfect excuse to say, hey, we'd always wearing my old school, my maid service shirt talking about solos.
Awesome.
So, going back, it gives an opportunity to say, hey, we're trying to send fewer people to your house. Solos is less chance of spreading the disease around. I know people that have done price increases. One of them was supposed to be on the call with us today, and they were doing $35 and $40 price increases and only had about 5 to 10% of the customers actually cancel. And so that's a pretty big $35 price increase is enough that a lot of customers would normally balk, but.
And I'm assuming it's being presented in the context of PPE, additional training, all the extra steps that we're doing with, temperature checks, yada, 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 to keep you safe.
Yeah, it's been an interesting year in a couple regards. I was talking to you about this a little earlier. We're seeing a really strange dichotomy where a lot of customers have been very understanding when we need to reschedule and stuff and explain that, hey, when somebody gets so much as a runny nose, I have to put them on 2 weeks leave. It's not come back in 24 hours, and that makes it difficult for us to schedule. And a lot of customers have been fine with that and understand it, but also had a fair amount of really difficult people in the last few months. I'm not saying it's common, but I would have told you it was extraordinarily rare in the past. And I'd say we're now into the category of rare, not extraordinarily rare. I was a little late to a meeting with Pamela earlier today because I was having to put a lien on somebody's house, and I haven't done that in a long time. So,
you think COVID is just making people lose their mind? The stress is making people behave in ways that they maybe wouldn't?
I think it's stress. I think that, it feels a little bit like some of the social norms are breaking down on some things. I was talking to somebody the other day who said that they watched somebody pull up to the supermarket and park their car right in front of the double doors and just walk in and, didn't bother to find a parking spot, just was like, well, I need something, I'll just park here. So some of that stuff, yeah, I think under stress, people just don't care as much right now. So it's been interesting. And like the particular case I told you about, she flat out told me, well, I'm moving. And by the time anyone in the court hears this, because everything's so slow because of COVID, I'll be in another state. So good luck getting your money. And that's where I was like, well, actually, I'm just going to go file a lien, but okay. But she was under the impression that, well, the courts are tied up and nothing's open right now, so you can't enforce it. And I was like, well, I know the law is better than you. I can, but that's kind of where it was coming from.
So when they run the title search and find out you have a lien on the house, then things aren't going to happen very
Yeah, they're going to have a problem with their closing.
Yeah.
But people don't understand that. They think that I have to sue them and go to small claims court and then put a lien on it. But I don't have to, at least not in Ohio.
We've done that before on deals, like a home, maybe a half a dozen years later, they wanted to sell it. And under those conditions, you can charge like interest and legal cost, and they wind up, paying a lot
and
more.
You've got to really tick me off for me to do that. I mean, I'm normally, I'm normally in the school of just let it go. It's not worth the time and effort. But this was one of those people that didn't have a complaint. There was nothing wrong. She just informed me she wasn't going to pay.
And it probably didn't really matter the magnitude of the money. You would have done it just as a matter of principle.
Yeah, just because I was so upset about it. If you've got legitimate complaints, and even if I think you're being unreasonable, I'm not going to, go to war with you over it. But I do record my phone call. So if this person ever writes me some really nasty Google reviews, I'll steal from our friend who does this, Dallas Maids, Greg. Greg is famous for, if you write him a really nasty review, he creates Dallas Maids / your name and posts the whole stories, including the videos and everything. And I'm like, I might have to do that if this lady writes me a bad review. Normally not my style, but in this particular case, I have her on phone going, your cleaning was fine. I'm just not paying my bill. And I was like, okay. And I'm moving, so good luck. In Ohio, a lien lasts 7 years and you can renew it once. So you can, at 7 years, you have to refile it, which would make it 14 years. It's going to vary by state. The real trick in Ohio is you only have 60 days to file it. So once service is done, you have to file within 60 days.
So if you write an article / that customer's name, who finds? I guess if somebody's Googling that individual, they would.
Well, he puts it in the Google response. So his Google response is, there's 2 sides to every story. Go to this link and you can read it. And we should have Greg on to talk about it. But he's like, and most of the time the review goes away. Not my normal strategy. I'm normally not that confrontational, but this particular person, I am really hard to make mad. And this particular person made me mad. I don't like it when you just flat out tell me you're not going to pay. Just because you don't feel like it.
Denise wants to know how long a lien holds.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. In Ohio, it'll stay on the property for 7 years. And then what'll happen, you'll get a notice and you can renew it in Ohio a second time, which will make it 14 years. Now, different states have different rules, but so if that house sells within the next 7 years, and this particular house is under contract, I checked it on the realtor.com website. That is why she said, well, good luck. I've already sold the house. And by the time it goes to court, I won't even be in this state. Well,
It's like, wrong. You've got a contract on the house.
So
find out what selling it means.
So I walked down to the recorder's office and placed a lien. It cost $30. And about 2 hours out of my life. And when you look at the economic value of it, it was probably not a good use of my time, but I feel a lot better.
Yeah, but you'll get a good. We can write an article on Cleaning Business Today about it too. I mean, there's a lot.
Oh, there you go.
A lot of things that we can do with this.
I can put a little copy of it and include it in the article.
We've been busy in Cleaning Business Today. There's been some pretty good content going out there lately, if I must say so myself.
Yeah, no, we've been putting out a couple pieces every single week. For a while there, we weren't doing as much because I don't know. I guess I got to the point where I felt like I'd written about everything. But man, COVID gave me some more inspiration again.
Well, there's a lot going on, and we kind of got ourselves together and got some resources. And
this helps too because we have topics almost every other day.
Yeah, we've. And there's articles that we're spawning out of some of the feedback and ideas that we're getting from our guests as well. Got a pretty cool team. I mean, we got you got a guy working in the back scenes, kind of help pulling it together, and got Ernie out there helping us drum up a little bit of business. Smart business moves. Deal Day has kind of been a neat thing for us as well.
Yeah, no, Deal Day's been fun. It was a good idea. So
we got one of those coming up November 9th, I think.
December 9th.
November
9th would be 3 days in the past.
Yeah. The next month before the end of the year.
It'll be our last one. Normally we do one a month, but with holidays, it just felt a little funky. So we decided to kind of merge November and December into one. Not to mention, I think it normally falls on like the last Wednesday of the month or third Wednesday of the month, which would have been the day before Thanksgiving. And I don't think we felt like it. I had a question of what is Deal Day? Deal Day is once a month. We have, we don't sell in this, we don't want this is supposed to be informational. We don't want this to be too pitchy. But we do what we call Deal Day, where once a month vendors come on and offer a hot deal. And it literally lasts until midnight the next day, which is Friday. And we've had microfiber companies, consultants, sponge companies, cleaning products companies. Haven't gotten a vacuum company yet. That's very much my goal. But once a month, we basically have companies come on and publish a hot deal.
That deal's good for 48 hours.
Yep, exactly.
And that's one of the things that makes it kind of interesting, makes it kind of fun. So if you got to, want to move, you got to move quick. And I mean, some of the vendors are like doing things that we buy all the time in our business. I mean, it makes up. It's a no-brainer that to jump in on some of the deals. Like I remember Sponge Outlet, for instance, and gee, I don't know. Most of the people in the industry I know use Sponge Outlet, and just made sense to, buy a bunch of sponges at a discount price.
Yep.
One of the things that we've been doing that Derek and I were talking about the other day that we probably not everybody knows about is we also stream Smart Business Moves to YouTube. And there's a YouTube channel for Smart Business Moves. I'm going to pull it up.
Yeah, so basically as we're doing this, it's also going to YouTube. And so it would be great if everyone can subscribe to it for a couple of reasons. If you ever miss this, you're going to get an email that says what it was, and you can watch it later on. And, YouTube's got some advantages as just like Facebook does, but one of which is the ability to download things and watch it later, maybe if you're on a flight or something. The other reason why it'd be great if you subscribe is 1,000 subscribers is kind of a magic number in the YouTube world where they start treating you like you're a real player. And we're in the, I think last I looked, 600 range or so.
496.
496. Oh, it's lower than I hoped. So we're halfway to 1,000. So we'd really love to get to 1,000 subscribers because that's a level at which that YouTube starts to treat you a little more seriously. They don't treat you as if you're a little guy publishing in your closet.
I dropped the link in there. One of the cool things about the channel, though, it's more easily searchable. I mean, we're also doing this on Facebook, and we don't take them down, so they're out there. But if you're looking for like Sharon Grammer, who we had on the early days of COVID, who gave us some of the best information that I've heard about how to do disaster recovery, and she was like doing COVID disinfecting for an atomic power plant, and the techniques and stuff that she used, and we all learned a bunch of stuff. But if you wanted to go back and look at the video for Sharon Grammer, you're going to kill yourself finding it in Facebook. But you can go to YouTube and just go to this particular channel and plug, in the keyword, and bam, it'll take you right to the video. Oh, Denise, just
yeah, I just got the notification.
Okay, we're rolling now.
Only 500 more to go, Tom.
Thank you. So, Derek and I and Liz, we're going to be doing a foundations program here in March, 6th through 13th of March. We really haven't started promoting it much. We've got some people that have signed up because they know about it and wanted to kind of get on it early, and we've gone ahead and we've done that. But I guess here sometime maybe after Thanksgiving, we'll probably be setting up some mechanisms where people can get more information and actually sign up.
Yep.
You want to share a little bit about what Foundations is and how we do it?
Yeah, it's one of those things where you feel like everyone's heard about it because it's what, our 11th one this time, or is it our 12th? I forget which class.
11. This is
11.
Yeah.
So we typically have done it once a year, although every now and again we've done it twice in a year. But normally it's once a year. And a bunch of business owners get together and we rent a mansion on the beach. And we go through a real systematic approach, step by step, of every part of your business and what systems and processes you need to actually make your business successful. And one of the things that's really different about our program is we share a lot of different viewpoints. A lot of the coaching programs out there are very prescriptive on how you have to do things, which is good. That makes it simple and predictable and turnkey. But some of us are just too stubborn to take a simple, predictable path, and we want to do our own thing. So the reason why Tom, Liz, and I all teamed up and was always really fascinating to me is I'm going to use team size as the example, but I always had used solo cleaners. Tom typically used 2-person teams, and Liz used teams up to 5 people on some occasions. So when people would always talk about team size, we always felt a little uncomfortable saying that there was one and only one way to do it because we all had very successful businesses. What we can do is take you through that and talk about, regardless of what size team you have, what systems and processes you need. Because while we all have very different personalities, as we went through and looked at it, there were systems that we all had. Now, sometimes our systems were different, but there was almost a checklist of you need a quality control system, you need a sales system, you need a follow-up system. And it varies based on our personalities and our businesses, but they were all there. And so we kind of go through Foundations and help you customize those for your company. And it's going to be the last time we're doing it in the current format. So, and we've said that before, but this time really is for real. So we are going to be doing this for the last time. If you've ever heard anyone talk about it, one of the things I'm most proud of is we have a lot of really successful alumni. I need to sit down and write it down, but I can list them all. But we've had over 20 people that I can name that do over 20 million in revenue or do over $1 million in revenue go through the class.
Oh, easy, yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be closer to 40 or 50, but I've got to sit down and really write it out. I myself can sit here and name 20. So it's really a program for people that are trying to scale, trying to get big, trying to, once again, really help you customize it. Because I'm a big believer that your company needs to be a reflection of you. I can't run a company the way Tom or Liz do, especially the way Liz does. I don't think anyone can run a company the way Liz does. It's got to be a reflection of you. And probably the strongest example I've ever given of that is my brother, Sean. He still owns My Maid Service in Dallas, and he runs it like the Marine Corps. You are not allowed to call off sick. You will show up to work and he'll tell you if you're sick. That is not how most of us run our company, but it works for him because that sounds really harsh, but it also comes with the whole brotherhood idea that you don't leave anyone behind. That when you call off sick, you're actually hurting your coworkers. And, that's a culture that he can pull off that I can't because it's a very strong reflection of him.
So we rent this 12-bed, 12-bath beachfront property. It's called the Mansion. I mean, that's the
Literally,
name
it's the name. Yeah.
It's about 8,000 square feet. It's right on the beach. It's got a heated pool. It's got jetted. I mean, it's a marvelous place for this. And we fill that up full of participants. We have alumni that come back as well. And we usually have a lot of alumni.
A lot of alumni.
To the point where they wind up getting their own Airbnbs. They're not really staying in the mansion because it's like monitoring a class. They're just coming back for, refresher work and to continue to work on projects that they'd started but hadn't finished the last time that they were there. But between new people taking the program and alumni, I don't know. We'll have 20 some odd businesses there, give or take.
Yeah, and it's intense. It's really hands-on. This isn't just classrooms. It's normally classroom and then 1 hour workshop. So you learn something, then you work on it. We talk about your cleaning procedure manual and give you a template of a cleaning procedure manual, but then you spend an hour actually tweaking it and making it your own. Or if you've got one, maybe taking some principles we taught in the class and adding it to the one you have. And it's a pretty cool class. So and there's something about taking people out of their day-to-day and locking them in this building where all they're doing is working on their business, where they get more done than just about any other time.
Rochelle has signed up for Foundations and she wants to know about homework to prepare. Yes, there will be. We'll be distributing that before Foundations. There's some more direction that we'll be providing as part and parcel of that. But part of what you do before you come is you pull together a bunch of your numbers, financial information, operations performance KPIs, and there's like models that we plug all that in that we can ask you a bunch of numbers and we can tell you pretty precisely what your current revenue is and what your revenue is going to be each month going out for the next X number of years if you want to, all things being equal. And then we tell you which numbers you need to be pushing in what direction in order for you to reach the financial and operational goals you want. And you'll be pulling all that together beforehand.
Yep. Now, you want to talk about why this is going to be our last one?
Let's go there. I've heard some speculation, so let's.
Okay. Some of you may already heard, but I actually have signed up to be a coach under Debbie Sardone's program. My maid service was started 13 years ago, and I actually hired Debbie as my initial coach. I've talked about that for a long time. And that's why I use solos, and that was kind of my business model. So Debbie and I kind of go way back, and she started adding some coaching to her program, where before it was just her. She's now having people come and help her coach. So Tom and Liz and I had been talking a lot about what do we do with the program, because you got to refresh and change programs over time. They're not as relevant. And Tom is, a lot of you know, have introduced Made Central, his software application. And we really thought it made sense to kind of shift the focus of the coaching that's been going on to systems and processes, and maybe even specifically some ways that you can use software to really help you. And honestly, that's really not my superpower. While it makes sense that that's a direction for everyone to go, I just don't like that stuff as much. I'm very much a throw something against the wall and see if it sticks kind of guy. I've been known to cause a little bit of chaos in my businesses on purpose sometimes just because I think I get bored. So I'm not your systems and process guy. So I decided I didn't want to do that. And once again, no hard feelings. They care a lot about it. They really want to do it. I do think it's something the industry really needs. I will probably actually be a client because, as I just said, I'm not very good at it. So it just felt a little bit disingenuous that Derek was going to be teaching you systems and processes when I've always been sales, marketing, recruiting people, crazy new ideas, strategy. I've always been good about seeing around the corner and what's coming. But systems and processes and making sure everything runs as smooth as possible, I hire people for that. That's
And
that's my
you are a client. You're a
Yep.
client of State Central.
Exactly. That's actually my weakness. So, for example, some of you know that I own the Handyman Connection franchise. There's a sign behind me. And normally in Handyman Connection, you're supposed to hire a salesperson and you manage production. I actually did the opposite. I do the sales and I hired a production person because I'm not good at it. I need somebody to fill that strength for me. So we kind of agreed that I would go work with Debbie. So I literally have a contract with Debbie that says I can't do any home cleaning coaching outside her program after foundations. Because she's going to be teaching me a lot of her secrets. Just like you teach your cleaners stuff and you don't want them to compete with you. She doesn't want me to compete with her once I teach her all her secrets, which is fair. And so we already had this foundations class agreed to. So when I signed up with Debbie, I said, I have no problem with that contract, but one big exception. Tom, Liz, and I already have people who signed up to go hang out with us in a few months, and I have to finish my commitment. She said, no problem. Get it. Completely understand. So this will be literally the last one that I'm involved in because I have a contract that says at least for 2 years after I stop working with Debbie, I can't do it again.
So it'll be a long, long time anyway.
It's going to be a while. And I'm not expecting to not be working with Debbie for a long time. Like I said, she was my original coach. The type of stuff that I like to do is an area that she really wants to strengthen because once again, she's really good at the systems and processes and stuff like that, where I like to buy and sell businesses. And like the very first program we're working on over there is a program to help people sell their company.
And that was something that we had started in Cleaning Business Builders, pulling that material together.
Yep, we started it and just never quite really got it off the ground all the way. Too much other stuff was going on. And when we were looking at the portfolio of what we wanted to do, it didn't really fit. So that was part of the agreement is I would take that program and be able to take it with Debbie. And, we're still partners in the magazine. We still own some Castle Keepers locations together. Nobody's screaming or mad at each other. We've been working together for like 10 years now.
We're friends. We care about each other and help each other,
And for some of you that have been around for a while, this isn't the first time this has happened. The original Cleaning Business Builders actually was included Bruce Vance and David Kaiser, and they decided they really wanted to concentrate on the HCT program. We were originally doing HCT and coaching, and they said, I really have a passion for this science of cleaning stuff. And we said, yeah, we don't. So we kind of went separate ways then, and that's when Liz joined us. And things have kind of gone the same way. And they're still good friends. We still have them on the program. Just a good partnership sometimes gets to a point where you just don't want to do the same thing anymore.
It's just a matter of, things change, the world changes, and individuals, partners within a partnership have, I say diverging interests. Just the opportunity evolves to the point where you're going to create more value working with Debbie than what you would if we continued doing what, we were doing with, Cleaning Business Builders.
Yep.
And, we're going to be, doing some things in a different direction, and, it's all good.
Yeah. Well, you've got the software now, and there was actually kind of a funny moment a couple of years ago where we were having a strategic meeting, and Tom announced that we needed to act more like business managers than entrepreneurs. And I rather loudly yelled, "Well, I'm out." I didn't want to be a manager, which once again, I'm not disparaging it. There's a skill for it. There's a reason why it needs to exist. It is just anti-me. And at the end of the day, one of the things I've always talked about is your business and what you do needs to reflect you. And I like to mess with things. I like startups. I like smaller companies. I like a little bit of chaos, and I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Oh, Debbie is really lucky to have Derek. I agree.
Oh, thank you. Well, it should be a fun partnership. Like I said, Debbie's always been my original coach. I've always been real clear about that. Even when I was, talking foundations, I'd always give credit where I thought it was due that she taught me. And obviously, like a lot of people, you tweak your own version of it. But, you can almost look at some businesses and realize who taught them at first because their business is kind of based off of it. But yeah, I'm really excited. It's a neat program, and I'm excited to see what you guys are going to be doing with the software and with the coaching that goes around the software. I mean, that's one of the biggest changes is you've got a software now. I mean, that's new.
Yeah, the software is huge, and we do so much within the software that goes beyond just the typical paradigm of, production management software. Everybody let's go ahead and let's get a lead. Let's go ahead and book a job. Let's clean a job, and that's where it ends. And really, that's where we do that because you got to do that. But that's just where it starts. And there's a lot of training that really has to go behind the logic within our business model. And the training is awesome whether you use our software or not. So that's where
Yep.
a lot of my attention is going to be going.
Now, what's your plan for 2021? You said you're working on the software, and then how about the cleaning companies? How are you feeling for the year? What's the vision?
Feeling pretty good, actually. We've had to make some changes organizationally. Strategically, we had to make some tough choices. When COVID came up, and we were, we had some underperforming assets that we basically chose to make some changes in, and we had some opportunities to sell some businesses. I mean, we sold the assets in Dayton, and we wound up moving out of Portland. We're focusing on 3 branches, and Derek and I and Liz and Troy Knight are all 4 partners in Atlanta, and we had an opportunity to acquire a rather substantial existing cleaning business, the Accounts in Atlanta, and really just doubled the size of that operation overnight. We're still working that, and there's a lot of leads from that stopped getting service during COVID that still haven't quite come back yet. So we're excited about that. We've been playing with technology. From a cleaning science standpoint, what's new there, huh? In Charleston, we've invested in on-site generation equipment that allows us to basically take brine salt water and turn that into hypochlorous acid and sodium hydroxide. The hypochlorous acid is disinfectant grade sanitation product that is often used in hospitals, and it's certainly approved for COVID. And the sodium hydroxide is used for it's a high pH product. It's an awesome degreaser, and you can use it as a general purpose cleaner. We're just doing it in Charleston at the moment, but we're kind of excited about where that's going, and it certainly fits the brand of Castle Keepers, and we're going to be working more. And actually, Derek and I were talking, and we're going to be working together on some SEO projects for Castle Keepers. We've got some resources available to us that could be, I don't say they're underutilized, but could also be utilized for those purposes. So it's all going good.
And I'm pretty bullish on the cleaning industry. Obviously, you see the handyman sign behind me. When I sold my maid service 5 years ago, it came with a 5-year non-compete. And, what am I going to do? I'm not allowed to get into the cleaning industry. I figured same clients, if you don't clean your toilet, you probably also don't fix your toilet. And it's been a good learning experience, and I've learned a lot from it. But one of the things I learned is nothing is more predictable and profitable than a home cleaning company. Construction's got a lot of moving pieces, a lot of difficult stuff. So my goal is actually to sell it, the handyman company, next year. I've got a great story because in COVID, when everything was going really badly, we had a fantastic year, great growth. So everyone likes to say their business is recession proof. I feel like I've got a good story to show that, in hopefully the worst recession in my lifetime, I hope I'm never in a time where businesses get shut down again. The business actually grew in profit and had a great year. So my goal is to actually sell the handyman company in 2021. I've already gotten involved and bought another home cleaning company. And, I'm really kind of excited because there's been a little bit of a reordering, talking to people. And once again, I haven't done a formal survey, but whether it's my work with Debbie or with you guys or with the cleaning business today, it feels like the bigger companies have been gaining a lot of share out of this, that a lot of the small independent contractors shut down and didn't reopen, that a lot of those, what I call valley of despair companies in the $200,000 to $300,000 range that had to shut down, didn't reopen. And so a lot of the big companies have been growing pretty substantially. So I kind of want to be on that trend. It feels like there's been a little bit of a reordering. And like I said, if anything, the last 5 years has reinforced what I already knew, which is home cleaning is the most predictable way to make money that I know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of contributing factors to that, but I tend to agree. I think the bigger companies are faring better in some regards, benefiting by the pandemic, if you will, in some regards. the consumer, at least a segment of the consumer, is looking at cleaning as a safety issue as well as just an appearance. And the whole PPE and being able to prove that you have real employees and you're training them, the type of training and the products you use. I think all of that, not across the board, but for a segment, is placing a heavier weight on that than what they were pre-COVID.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm really excited about it. I'm hoping sometime in 2021, I'm going to be telling you that I sold the handyman business. My non-compete is passed, so I can 100% own cleaning businesses and get really involved in the cleaning industry again. So yeah, I'm really pretty excited. And I'm just seeing tons of opportunity. So this next few months will probably not be the most fun, but I think once we get past that, I think spring and on is going to be exciting.
Yeah. By all accounts, the numbers are going to get bad. The COVID numbers are going to get bad between now and the end of the year. Then they're going to start tailing off. And, some people will start getting the vaccine by the end of the year, populations, healthcare workers, so forth. And then it's going to start becoming more pervasive in the general public. So we're not, it's going to get worse before it gets better, but it's going to start getting better, by the, beginning of the year, and a lot to look forward to in 2021.
Well, like you said, every company I'm involved in has gotten either really close or has actually exceeded their pre-COVID revenue, with a really large list of people that are still on hold, which just feels like, I know they're not all going to come back, but even if half of them come back, I mean, that's like 20-25% growth just getting some of those guys back. So it feels like it's going to be a good year.
Well, we kind of gone around the circle on a lot of different topics. ARCSI conventions next week. I know that you've got some plans to sit on some of that.
Yeah, either myself or Brandon, who works for us at Cleaning Business Today, is going to try to sit in on most of the sessions, basically write about what's going on over there, try to generate a little bit of excitement. It is a little bit different that it's online, so I do miss not flying somewhere and seeing everyone. But for obviously reasons, we can't do that. So yeah, we're looking forward to it and hoping to get some really good ideas out of it.
Leslie's telling us our commercial division is growing exponentially.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's a liability issues there. If you've got commercial space, you just want to do the things that you need to do to prove that if anybody accuses you of being negligent, then you've got a good defense.
Yeah, we in one of our companies have the I want to say fogger, but that's not it, electrostatic sprayers, and we're spraying all of our sororities that we service every day.
Mm-hmm. Well. Anything else you think we should cover today, Derek?
No, I think it's been a pretty good day. Hopefully, we didn't have a set topic for today. We just figured we'd kind of catch up with everyone and kind of see what was going on. We've been getting a lot of questions just of kind of how was business going? What were the two of us doing? And Tom was originally like, so you want to come on and talk today? Should we have a plan? I'm like, yeah, you and I can talk cleaning for hours.
Yeah. We had a plan, but we weren't planning on the travel plans messing our plan up. But nevertheless, we'll improvise and we'll bring you that material at a later date. Smart business moves, by the way, for next week, we're not going to be streaming because of the ARCSI convention. Some of the nights actually move into this time space, and Liz is going to be busy helping, and I'm going to be doing a few things. So it just seemed like it made the most sense. We would take next week off, but we'll be back Monday, the week after, which will be the 23rd. That's Thanksgiving week. And we'll be doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We will not be working Thanksgiving Day. I'm still going to be working later tonight. I'm doing a live stream with Sean Day on his live feed, his recruiting. What's the name? Blue collar recruiting. Is that right, Derek?
Yeah, blue collar recruiting, I believe, is what they call it.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about Made Central at 9 o'clock. So if you want to know more about that, go ahead and look that up on Facebook. And If you haven't subscribed to Cleaning Business Today, that's really easy. Go to cleaningbusinesstoday.com, put in your email address, your first name, last name, and a lot of good stuff happens when you do that. I mean, we do a newsletter every Thursday, which updates you on what we're doing in Smart Business Moves the following week. It kind of gives you a recap of some of the stuff that we did here over the previous week, along with new content that we're developing.
Not to mention, we had a bunch of people on here saying, "What's deal day?" You're going to get an email announcing the deals.
Yeah. It's funny. We think everybody knows about everything that we're doing, and then we find out that that's far from the case. So we aren't saying it enough, are we?
Nope.
Well, we're pretty close to the top of the hour. Derek, thank you for your help.
No problem. It's always fun.
And you guys take care. Have a good weekend. And, hopefully we'll be seeing you in some of the activities next week in the convention, and we'll be back the following Monday. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.
See you.